Hello and welcome to Kicking Tires. My name is Jimmy,
And I'm Justin.
and today we got a lot less electrical vehicle news than we did last week. Um, I think let's start with the first thing, which is the brand new Sienna, but it has a new special edition. This is called the Woodland Special, and it, this is dumb, but it's it's for those people who are adventurous but still need a minivan but don't want an SUV because what
It's such a
Toyota
niche. Yeah.
it's such a niche product. What Toyota has done here is given the Sienna where you can always get the all-wheel drive, so it's just an all-wheel drive Sienna, but they gave it a lift. Now, if you're thinking a lift, you're like, oh, maybe like inch and a half, maybe even 2 inches, not even an inch. Toyota lifted this 0.6 of an inch. So you can go off road.
Yeah. Somehow it's noticeable. Like every picture I've seen, you can see, oh, there's a lot more wheel gap. But the thing is the bumper is still like an insane overhang.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna climb anything. But and the tires are really average. Like they're not improved in any way. They're just
Yeah.
regular old all seasons. But it is, it's for those people that want to take a car camping. And for what it's worth, I mean, the van form factor, as we talked about before, is just super practical. It
Mhm.
does make a lot of sense. You can carry a lot of stuff, and you're getting a few extra standard features there. Obviously, all-wheel drive, which Sienna, that's something to talk about too, right? Sienna is the only one of the few options that has all-wheel drive. You can't get on the Odyssey, the new Kia Carnival, even though it looks like an SUV, you can't get all-wheel drive on that.
Yeah.
So that is kind of neat. I think Pacifica, can we get all-wheel drive?
You can get all-wheel drive with the Pacifica, but
Yeah,
not with the hybrid powertrain.
there you go. Yeah.
Only with the regular V6.
Yeah, so it is nice. That does set the Sienna apart from other minivans, and we also get power inverters standard, tow hitches standard, the roof rack crossbars are standard. So it gives you a little bit more expandability. It's not just, let's sad lift aside, it has some function to it. um I really like that they make this cement gray paint scheme available. Cement gray is like my favorite color, second favorite to the army green out of the Toyota off-road vehicles.
Voodoo Blue?
No, Voodoo Blue, I don't think, like, it works on the FJ, but I think it's a little bit much for a daily driver.
There's there's
Um,
there's angry people like typing in the comments right now about how
oh,
you don't like Voodoo Blue.
Army green all the way. When they released that, I was like, oh, that's a game changer. Green cars. I
Yeah,
do
the green
claim
cars that you don't
myself a
remember
green
that you
car.
have.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to talk a little bit about that power inverter because power inverters are more common in vehicles these days. This has a 1500-watt inverter, which is equivalent to a standard household plug, which means you can plug in a microwave, a TV, Xbox. Like you can plug in all those things, not at once, but you can plug in your TV and Xbox and play games
Hmm.
when you're out in the wilderness. That is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, a standard, uh, usually those outlets only support like a laptop charger or phone charger. This is 1500 watts is really, really usable power when you're camping. It's going to be great for air compressors. You can inflate your mattress and stuff like that as well.
I thought you were going to say tires. I was like, I don't think anyone is deflating their Sienna all-wheel drive tires.
I mean, we generally do if you're going on a rougher trail. It's not for traction, but just for ride
A better
comfort. But
ride? Yeah,
not with these Yoko or Bridgestones. I think they're on Bridgestones
not too sure.
or all seasons. Yeah, I
They're
think I saw
they're
one of
they're
the
eco
pictures.
all season, so
I
yeah,
really
that's,
like the seats. The
the
trim
seats
on
look
the
good.
seat looked really nice.
Yeah,
Um, it's got like a contrast stitching to them, and it just looks a little bit more rugged.
yeah. it looks like the SE seats to me.
Mhm.
I like the captain chairs in the second row. Personally, like the fact that they have so much range of movement, you can slide them all the way back for like limo like second row legroom, or all the way to the front so that you can haul stuff in the back. Those seats are really, really useful. I
Mhm.
love the Sienna. I think it's probably the best all around van that you can get. This certainly gives people an option, but
Yeah.
it's not an option that most people will get.
Yeah. It's not an off-road package, it's an adventure package. So
Mm.
it's, go out kayaking, go fishing,
Yeah.
you can tow a small boat, 3,500 pounds. You
Yeah.
can tow a small boat.
Jet ski,
Yeah, makes a lot of
3,500. I
sense.
mean, it's respectable, let's be honest.
Hmm.
But let's move on. Let's go to something a little bit more exciting. Hyundai, they released finally the information for the Kona N.
Or the Conan.
Kona, exactly. So the Kona N has a 2-liter turbo 4. It's the exact same engine as the Veloster. It's made it to an 8-speed automatic, and it's going to be front wheel drive only. We talked about the Kona N, like the concept, a few weeks back, and we're like, um, oh, it may be offered in a manual because the Veloster N has a manual, and we're like hoping that it's all wheel drive, but sadly, we're not getting either of those. But it's a looker. I think it's one of the better looking end products that they have.
Yes, if you're into simple designs, this probably isn't for you, but it is really flashy and aggressive, and the end treatment works on this Kona. The Kona is kind of a weird looking car to begin with, and so I think doing this to it, and they did the same with the Veloster, right? It's a kind of a funky looking car, and the funky cars tend to look good with a lot going on, which
More
um,
exaggeration in its like profile.
yeah, like the look at the three vents under the hood. Those lights that look really weird on the Cherokee, they look really good on this.
Yeah.
Having those, the Cherokee and the Juke have kind of oddly placed upper
the
headlights.
the divorced headlight look. Yeah.
Yeah, but it looks really good on this.
Yeah.
Um,
It works.
yeah, I think because Hyundai hasn't really developed that high performance all wheel drive system just yet, I think the front wheel drive, I guess it does make sense as far as a track car goes. It keeps the weight down, keeps costs down,
Mhm.
and they have a lot of tricky tech that goes with that front wheel drive system, right? We got an ELSD and a lot of N terminology that's a little bit hard to understand if you're not really into this car, like if you haven't researched it. The name, okay, N power shift. So N
I was
power
gonna
shift.
please
Let's
tell me about them.
yeah, let's start with N power shift. So it supposedly mitigates torque reduction during upshift, and I think it gives you like those crackles and stuff when you're shifting. Because it's a dual clutch transmission, you don't really lose any torque during shifts anyways, for my opinion.
You're not lifting during upshifts.
Exactly, and the gap is so small. Like the shift times are probably very impressive, and that's a feature that's or software, I guess, that's implemented when you're accelerating at more than 90% throttle. So how this works in real life, I'm not sure, but supposedly it just gives you that wall of torque feeling. It just boom, 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 and you just pull through the gears
Sorry,
and
how does it sound like again?
let's not do it. Uh, why don't you explain the next thing, which is end grin shift?
And grin shift. So, when you're driving a performance SUV like this, you're gonna grin because it's such an amazing automobile. So the grin shift, it adds 10 more horsepower for those 20 seconds. I'm sure it's a button somewhere on the steering wheel, or like I know for the Veloster N, there was like the N buttons on there. I'm sure you press that, you get 10 more horsepower. All those power that you can feel right in your, I mean, bum.
10 horsepower for as far as an overboost goes, it's not
It's
that
not much.
impressive. Um, but who knows? Maybe it's like area under the curve or something like that. To activate, the driver pushes a dedicated button on the steering wheel, and a countdown begins on the cluster, showing the remaining seconds for this function. And you have to wait at least 40 seconds to use it again. So it's just like playing Need for Speed. It's not N grin shift, it's NFSU shift. You have to cool down for 40 seconds, and then you can and turn on the NOS. So that's N grin shift.
We're getting all the sound effects today.
Yeah, turn on the NOS. Wonder if anyone gets that reference.
And then what's the last end thing that you get?
The last one is really not that impressive. It's like on every car pretty much, which is N track sense shift, and that's actually just transmission logic basically. So
say that 10 times fast.
N track sense shift. I can't even say it slowly. So it's a lot of people talk about Porsche's PDK and how intuitive it is on track. You can just leave it in sport or whatever, and it will just do it. You don't need to actually manually shift, and that kind of it lets you focus on your steering inputs, your brake, and whatnot. And so that's the idea with NTS or N track sense shift, which is it's using optimized gearing and shifting speeds and whatnot to just make it work better as an automatic. So when you're driving in a spirited fashion, then you have that working for you. I think every dual clutch transmission has a sport mode per se. So how this works in real life, I'm not sure, but generally speaking, I mean, if I'm tracking a dual clutch car, I'm probably using the manual shifters anyways. That's kind of the point, I feel like, but
Yeah.
yeah. And another cool thing we're getting on this good picture, which is the head-up display, performance head-up display. So got some sporty functions up on there. It makes a lot of sense for this car.
Okay, the Kona heads-up display is garbage. I'm gonna tell you that.
It looks pretty.
It's the plexiglass that flips up on the top, which means it's never big enough for an actual heads-up display. It's too low, and the contrast on those are generally much worse than the one that actually projects onto the window. So I don't have high expectations on that. Same thing with acceleration, because they released a 0 to 62 time of 5.5 seconds. That's not that quick.
It's really not. I looked up what an ND Miata does, and it's like 5.8, and I'm like, that's kind of a slow car by today's standards, and that does 5.8, like
100 less horsepower.
Yeah, and so I guess front wheel drive, that is a limitation, but it does have a limited slip, electronically controlled, and launch control. So with a dual clutch, you would think it would be pretty quick, but 5.5 really, I think by today's standards, the numbers, like this car has 276 horsepower. You almost 300 foot-pounds of torque, and I guess if you're using N grin shift, you're at 286 horsepower, and so it seems like it should be faster than that. I don't know if that's a tire limitation. Actually, let's see if we can pick out what tire it is on that picture on the bottom right there.
It's
gonna zoom in.
Looks like P0.
P0. Okay, I think we talked about P0 or behind the scenes, and I was like, P0 is the most disappointing tire that every manufacturer uses. I bet they get some crazy deal from the manufacturer, from Pirelli. P0 is a very underwhelming summer tire, in my opinion.
If I put on like Federal 595s,
yeah, or anything sticky, really. The P0s, they're like a 220 treadwear or something like that. So they don't last that long. So which is great for Pirelli,
Mhm.
because these are coming standard on the cars, and then the dealers are going to sell this.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the Hyundai spec tire. It's not a terrible tire. It can't hold, like, you can track it for maybe one lap, kind of thing. But I don't know why every manufacturer, from Ford to Volkswagen to BMW to Porsche to Lamborghini, they all use Pirelli P0, and it's not that great of a tire, in my
Mhm.
opinion. Uh, and it
Some,
costs you 5.5 seconds 0 to 60.
yeah. Something that I noticed within the photos that I do like is they kept the Kona's heated and cooled seats. So, I mean,
Mm.
heated seats is pretty normal. Cooled seats, you don't really get on a lot of mainstream cars, but Hyundai has put them in a lot of their vehicles. But even with these buckets, you get heated and cooled seats. So
Nice.
I'm thinking, like, track day, you're going to get a little warm, right? You don't want to run the AC
Mm.
because you want all 276 horsepower. So you turn on your cooled seats to keep you nice and cool during those hot track days. You can't do that in your Type R.
No, you
Actually,
can't
does
even
a
you
Type
can't
R
even
even?
heat it. You
Yeah,
can't
I was
even
going to say, I don't think a Type R has heated seats.
You don't have power seats, you don't have heated seats, you don't have anything.
So
Uh,
definitively, we can say this is better than a Type R.
I think so. It's got heated steering wheel too, which you can't get on any Type R,
Yeah.
even if you have money. Uh, Pretty cool steering wheel. Is that the start button?
I can't see it. Actually, you know what? If I download it,
Yeah, I mean that's a big file, so I mean hopefully we can zoom in on that.
oh, that is the. Oh, I completely lost it now.
NGS, that's your NOS button.
That's my NOS button. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
where? Oh
every
God.
every video game has that big red button.
Yeah.
You should
The
just
engine.
fill it in, and the G needs to become an O. I think they should have called it like N instead of grin. Just like find I want to say an O word that's not PG, but make it NOS, and it would just be so much cooler.
It actually it's really out of place because it does a
You
button
can't
right.
reach for it. Like if you're on track and I'm gonna hit the front straight now. It's
But
past the N button. It's
you know, any Alfa Romeo driver would know that's the starter button. Okay, that's
Imagine you get out of this and at some press event, and then you go tracking
into an Alpha.
Alpha or
You're,
Ferrari. You're just on the front straight.
oh, stop! Oh, wait. Literally, no one will ever
Yeah,
jump out of a Kona and into an Alfa Romeo.
no,
But
but that button is in a weird space because okay, the problem is the steering wheel has 13 buttons or if not more on it. Actually, if you
1,
count
2,
the
3,
up
4,
down
5, 6, 7,
toggles.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 including paddles.
Okay, we're counting paddles.
Of
Yeah.
course, it's on the wheel.
Yeah, so there's just too much going on there, which is why they had to tack on that little red pimple, which it just makes it's weird
Um,
in that spot.
okay, here, can I say another thing? Oh, I can't scroll over. I'm not. Oh, I'm on my trackpad here. Um, the most important button still remains hill descent control. When you want to take your Kona N off road,
Oh,
you got your hill descent control button right here for you.
I
They
was looking
haven't
at
took
the steering wheel, like what's he talking about?
no,
Yeah,
hill descent control, the most important button.
yeah.
All right, I think that's enough of the Kona. And anything else you want to add to it?
No, I think this is track proven. Apparently, it's a real ed car, Nurburgring tested. And so coming soon to a track day near you, a little crossover hatchback thing. It's barely a crossover, like really.
No,
It's
really,
it's it,
it's just
it's
a jumped up Veloster at this point.
yeah, it's a Veloster with regular doors and
Yeah,
like
that's exactly, and a
yeah.
little bit more headroom.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the next thing here. This is the Mustang Mach-E GT Performance Edition. If you're in Canada, if you're in the US, the GT is the performance, but you can still get a performance edition on top of that. So essentially, this we were talking about this before the show. This looks a million times better than the regular Mustang, and it's all because it has a fake grill.
Yep. It's
That's
just
it.
the way the headlights frame it, and it's that distinctive Mustang shape. It looks really good. And the problem with the regular one is it has like a Fu Manchu going on, which is like a handlebar mustache, basically, for those not educated in Asian mustache culture. But no, this grill and the bumper treatment, it's so simple, but it just transforms the overall look, and just makes it look so aggressive, which is strange because Tesla went the opposite way, and Tesla kind of abandoned grills. When the Model S first came out, it was like, we have to make this look like a conventional vehicle and give it a grill that it doesn't actually need, just to, it doesn't look weird to people. And then now none of the Teslas have like a big grill. The Model S, after its facelift, it just lost the grill, which I don't know if it looks better. It looks fine. It looks good. But on the Mach-E, I think 100% the GT looks better with that grill.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about performance, because this is like their go-to performance version of the Mach-E. 480 horsepower, or for an electric car, makes more sense to talk about kilowatts, is 358 kilowatts, 634 pound-feet of torque. So definitely has the power. It definitely looks the part. 0 to 100, 3.7 seconds. Quite respectable. I mean, not as fast as like I think
Ludicrous.
the Model Y performance is going to be faster than that still.
Yes.
But something that the engineers of Mustang, or of Ford here, or Mustang, I guess, is they dialed in the all-wheel drive system to let you have a little bit more fun. I watched a few YouTube videos where people taking like just Model Y performance onto the track. Like, it's fine, it drives straight, but you can't have fun with it. Whereas the Mach-E, you're able to rotate the vehicle, have the back end step out a little bit, because you can have a little bit more fun with that. That's where I think Mach-E shines over Tesla.
Yeah, I think from the get-go they wanted to make something that is fun to drive and lives up to that Mustang name. It will be really interesting to see, not so much drag racing, which, that's kind of what electric car performance has been for the last 5 years, but to see like actual track testing. I've seen those tests when M3 versus Model 3. I think I really want to see the Mach-E GT on track versus the Model Y, obviously, and I also want to see it against the regular Mustang GT with a Coyote engine, and just see, for the layperson, this is. I don't know if Ford will find that's kind of shooting themselves in the foot, but I think it's cool just to see. Okay, well, this is your traditional performance track day vehicle, which Mustang GT is super common. You'll see it at every track day. It's the Coyote motor is reliable, but here's the Mach-E GT, the new competitor with the Mustang name. See if it lives up to that name. I think. I think it'll be really cool. It's got cool Brembo brakes.
Yep.
It is a heavy vehicle. I don't know if it can. It probably won't, stand up to that many laps of abuse. But who knows? I mean, they're testing it on a track.
I think on a track, the available power that you got, you won't go many laps anyways, because it's still only an 88 kilowatt hour battery. There's other manufacturers that's putting more than 100 kilowatts into the vehicle. So this has a estimated 250 mile range. But of course, if you are on a track, it's going to be a lot less than that.
Of course, yeah.
It also has a Magno-Ride suspension, which is absolutely cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Should
Ford's integrated in some of their vehicles.
Yeah, it should
Yeah.
make the ride nice and comfortable as well as very capable.
Yeah, it's not cheap though.
No, 66,000 US or 83,000 Canadian. It's a pretty penny.
Yeah. Do we have is that just a conversion or is that the actual MSRP?
That's the actual. That's on Ford Canada's website.
Okay. Yeah. 83. I mean, 83,000 is not unreasonable. I mean, a base Model Y all-wheel drive is already 70. So,
Yep.
I don't think it's like ridiculous, but
No.
it is not cheap.
No, not cheap, but
Yeah.
not. I mean, we were literally talking about the GLC 63.
Before
I mean,
the show, that
that was 100K. It has more power than this, obviously, but you know, it's not anywhere near that in terms of pricing. So, but that is to start. So I'll be curious to see, once you start stacking on options, what kind of options you have, and kind of see where that goes.
Yeah, cool car. I think I like what they've done with this.
Yeah. Moving on to another Ford news. This is not a new vehicle by any means, but new tech that they're adding to an F-150 here. I think like the F-150 is like the Swiss Army knife of trucks. It's like everything that you need in one. It's not like
it's not the best in a lot of areas.
No, this isn't the new, like this new generation. To me, I don't think it's a new generation. I mean, it still looks exactly the same as the last one. It's the same truck that you have, basically. But like, there's so much new things that they're adding on. And this new thing of how it can use the suspension to measure the payload and the tongue weight, super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just makes it easier for people that have never towed or hauled before, allowing them to safely do that now.
Yeah, I mean, and in theory, it's not even that complicated. That like the technology that they're implementing to use the suspension and probably a various number of sensors to just dial in that ride and dial in whatnot. I think it makes sense for a lot of people. Now, where this is going to be an issue, I think, is for the people that like to do aftermarket suspension, modify their trucks. That's where this, the traditional truck buyer that likes, well, I wouldn't say the traditional truck buyer, but the person that's used to a traditional truck where you can basically do whatever you want to it, they may not like this kind of feature.
Yeah, it's definitely not for them. It's just for the maybe more the average truck buyer or first time truck buyer. And they want to have a little bit more confidence in their vehicle. I mean, Ford is, I don't know if they're still the only one, but the trailer backup assist, I think Chevy has it as well.
Yeah, now with Chevy has got so many cameras, they must be able to do something with that.
Yeah.
The trailer backup assist, it is a really cool feature. I just wish I could get it to work, but I think this is because I changed my head unit, and that's kind of ruined it. Supposedly it supports it still. I still have the menu item to do it. It doesn't work, and I even bought the stickers.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I know it uses the stickers to measure and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is super cool technology. It's able to measure the weight, the tongue weight, and it's able to tell you exactly if you're loading on that trailer correctly, or if you're overloading your vehicle. I mean, like you were saying a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, one of your friends borrowed a truck to carry rice, was it?
Yeah.
And he definitely overloaded the truck, but he probably has no idea that he did.
Yeah,
this technology
for regular passenger car people, okay, if it fits in the back, it's in the back. Like, that's all that matters. But with trucks and with the amount of weight you're carrying, it is a safety thing. You want to make sure you're not overloading your tires, the suspension, the chassis, and whatnot. The brakes, everything has to work. And so It's really useful tech, I think, for a half ton especially. It's your occasional, uh, someone that's going to load up the truck very occasionally, and you may not be that familiar with this kind of stuff. It's good tech.
Absolutely. Speaking of good tech, let's talk about
How is this good tech?
it's amazing tech. It's 1,000 horsepower, 7-passenger SUV by Hennessy. Hennessy took the Ram TRX and modified it, made it into an SUV rather than a pickup, so it can carry 7, and it has 1,000 horsepower and makes no difference, like almost 1,000 pound-feet of torque. 3.7 seconds, 0 to 100.
3.2.
3.2? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. 3.2 seconds. Who needs a Mach-E?
Forget Mach-E. I think this is now Lamborghini. Who needs a Lamborghini Urus? Who needs a Bentayga, Cayenne, whatever? You name it. Aston Martin's got their super SUV. Ferrari's supposedly working on a super SUV. I think this is the super SUV you really want.
Well, I mean, if you can afford it, $375,000 American, and if you can get one, because they're limited to only 20.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no other pictures for it. It's only the one from up front, and it's a render. But this thing is absolutely amazing. It's not Hennessy's first time making a crazy off-road SUV with tons of power, because they did that before with the Velociraptor SUV, which was like the Raptor with 3 rows, which I still do not like the look of. I think it's just awkward.
This one is a little bit more awkward, but that was the first for them, so they kind of married an excursion an excursion to the front of a Raptor. So that doesn't look as good, but as far as the execution and what they wanted to achieve, not too bad, not too shabby. You really have legitimate 3-row adult seating in this SUV, which you don't get on a lot of products these days, and having the extra length, the truck length, makes a lot of sense. And I think, it does make sense for some families that, I do want a truck, but
I mean,
why am I talking about practicality? There's no real need for practicality.
It's for the guy that goes into a dealership, was looking at an Escalade, was like, it doesn't have 1,000 horsepower. Nah, I need something better.
It's way too fuel efficient. The Escalade is way too fuel efficient. And I need this.
And it's too cheap. I mean, fully loaded, it's only $100,000. I have tons of money burning a hole in my wallet. I need to buy something more expensive.
Yeah, but one thing you can't do in an SUV or in an Escalade or traditional 3-row SUV is you can't jump it. You need 35s and a lift and that, high clearance bumper. You can't jump, a Urus or a Bentayga or anything like that. I mean, to some extent you can, but not to TRX standards.
People complained about Top Gear not having consumer advice, and here we are talking about the Hennessy SUV.
Okay, well, I mean, think about it this way. Let's not, we're not taking this Baja running, but just your typical curb and stuff. That Urus with his low profile, like 22-inch wheels, those are not going to withstand any like slight curbage, which, let's be honest, the people that drive these kind of cars, they don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. So I think 35-inch big tires, and a lift, there is a lot of utility there. That, you don't have to ever worry about potholes, construction, snow.
Justin, do you have shares in Hennessy? Is this what's going on?
I feel like I should, but now I've probably missed I probably missed that buy-in. Uh, this truck makes sense. It's one of those things that's like, you even if you have money, you can't just walk into a dealership and get it. That's the thing is, it is exclusive. It is something that it ticks boxes. It's for a niche that, yeah, even if you have a lot of money, I can walk into a Porsche dealership or Lamborghini dealership, but I can't get the SUV that I need that can off road and destroy anything in a straight line. Good consumer advice.
I was just gonna say that's like the best consumer advice ever.
Yeah, if you are a Russian oligarch and you're looking for that SUV that, the roads maybe in your country are not that great. Even look at the Escalade. I mean, I I just put out I just priced out a wheel and tire package for a customer today with a new Yukon Denali, and he's going with 24-inch wheels, and it's a 285/40/22. Like, in urban areas it's maybe okay, but like there's parts of the world or parts of the country that you know may not have the best road work, and yeah, you
The,
want.
the worst part is 24s look pretty normal on the new Yukon.
Oh yeah, no, we looked at 22s, and then I was trying to find him pictures of 22s, and I'm like, all these pictures show 24s and they look really good. Yeah.
30s coming to a showroom near you.
I know, fun to mount and balance.
Oh, I'm sure. I think that's all we got for news for this week. Let's go on to the review for the week. I was blessed with another Genesis. Last week we talked about the GV80 and how it's the SUV to get. This is the G80. So this is the sedan version essentially of the GV80.
Mhm.
There's a few pieces to it that you basically have to know. It's slightly bigger than the 5 Series and the E-Class, but it's priced a lot lower than that. You get two engine options here in Canada. You get a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder or a 3.5-liter V6. The 3.5-liter V6 makes more sense as it has more options that you may want in a luxury vehicle. But the 2.5 4-cylinder, more than plenty for this vehicle. Justin and I, we were talking about this a little bit before the show. He doesn't like the wheels that's on it, but
I don't like either of the wheels. That's the
but
thing.
you know what? I could care less about the wheels. I can call you up and be like, "Hey, Justin, I want a set of wheels," and you'll be like, "Here's your options that you can get, and I can get something else."
Yeah,
But
it just feels like for such a well-designed car, they just kind of like phoned it in on the wheels. The
they could have
wheels
done
really make a car's look.
Yeah, they definitely could have done a little bit more on the wheels.
Those are so plain Jane. Like, they just look like your typical, you go on TireRack.com looking for a winter wheel and tire package. That's the wheel design that you get.
Oh, the Touran, right? You know what
The
I'm talking about.
Touran or the Sport Edition. Like, yeah, it's just like so plain. And then they do have a very styled option, but I don't think that styled option looks premium enough. Like, it looks cheaply made,
Mhm.
if that makes sense. Which it just doesn't work overall, with the theme of this car, which is really going above and beyond as far as interior styling, exterior styling, and then you just have meh for the wheels.
I want to talk about the interior because let's be honest, that's where you're gonna be, and that's where it matters
Mhm.
more than the outside. Interior is absolutely beautiful in here. Just like the GV80, you get like real wood, leather everywhere, soft touch materials, a giant touchscreen in the center. Like it has all the tech that you really need and want, but it's lacking a few things that like BMWs and Mercedes has, like the gesture control where you can on a BMW rotate your fingers to turn the volume up and down, stuff like that. But the things that you do need, like heated and cooled seats, just really good material, a usable infotainment system, like that's all there.
Yeah, it's a pretty fast system. I've used it on Hyundai's. I think it's a very similar setup.
Mhm.
It's snappy. Um, yeah, I like the colors as well. Like you can get blue leather interior, which kind of went out of style since the late '90s, but I think on this it works.
Yeah.
The two tone interior. It's special.
Yeah, you don't have to just get the black. I mean, you can if that's what you're into. But
Hmm.
getting that two-tone interior on the top trim, it just makes the interior feel a little bit more special.
Yeah.
One thing that I didn't notice is here in North America, we don't get as many toys as you get in other
Mm.
places in the world. In South Korea, not North Korea. I was going to say North. When I was like, wait, no, that's not right. In South Korea, you can get the Genesis G80 with a full rear seat package where you get a display in the back, so it's like mounted iPads for
Mhm.
whatever. But you also get heated and cooled seats, and you also get like lounge options in the back, so they actually move
Yeah.
and whatnot. We just don't get that here. They're just
Oh, our
regular
seats don't move at all.
they don't. Well, no, they don't move. They're just heated, which is
Uh,
fine. But if you need to get up to that level, you have to step up to the G90.
yes. So the G80 is still you're still the one driving it, I guess, is the
Yeah,
idea.
that's really what it's designed for. It's you're still driving it. It
The
has the
G90
ability.
you pay someone to drive it.
Exactly. I mean, this is for someone that doesn't have a lot of money, but you can still pay someone to drive it because you can still fit in the back pretty comfortably. Especially like the base four cylinder. You can get into one for I don't even remember how much it was, but it's relatively inexpensive. Actually, I think I wrote it down here. Uh, yeah, 66,000 Canadian and
Mhm.
76,000 for the V6 here. I mean, if we're thinking, 66, that's a lot of money. Well, if you look at an E class or a 5 series, it's not.
It really isn't, but I guess one of the things for me is who the mid-sized or mid-sized to larger luxury sedan. Uh, I just don't understand that market at all. For at least, I do like the S classes, the flagship sedans, the G90. I think there's a lot of appeal. That mid-tier model, you don't have the how do you say it? It's just not as exclusive or special. Um, and so I'm wondering if there is really a market for this type of vehicle in a
There isn't.
sedan form.
There really isn't. You're
Yeah.
right on the mark here. Um, my One of my best friends, he was looking for a vehicle for his dad. He's trying to replace a 6 series. They looked at a 5 series. They look at the E class. They looked at the Audi A6. They didn't look at this because they only wanted a German vehicle, which is another topic on its own. But they couldn't get an A6 because they don't make enough because no one buys them. They literally went into Audi leaderships and they're like,
Yeah.
we want to look at an A6. Like, oh, you want one? You have to order one because we don't even stock it, and that's
Mhm.
because no one buys them. You want an E class? Sure, we need to order one in, but we have to order in your spec. We have some kind of basic, more just popular ones that's available, but nothing like to the style that they wanted. And same thing with the 5 series because it's a dead market. The
Mm.
American companies, Cadillac, Lincoln, pulled out of this market for that reason. No one cares. Everyone goes towards SUV. That's why the G80 doesn't matter really. Like it's brand new. It's one of their best sedans,
Mhm.
but it doesn't matter
But it's
because
an irrelevant
GV80,
car. Yeah.
that's the one that people are buying anyways.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it too. Like I don't know if this kind of car makes sense for anyone. If you want something more roomy and practical, I mean the SUVs just make sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 66, I mean, that's a good value. Like that is a not even full load, C
3 Series.
class or 3 Series.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this one is going to depreciate. The
Oh,
GV80, the GV80, I think that one will hold its value okay, just because like people want those kind of cars. But this one, I don't know. This one may get expensive if you have to look at the depreciation. It might get expensive.
I mean, we took a look at this last time. I think it was like a 2015 or whatever Equus, and it
Yeah.
was like 15K or something like that.
Okay. Well, to be fair, the Equus is they didn't really. It wasn't a complete effort. This is more cohesive as a luxury sedan.
Absolutely, but
Yeah.
I, in my opinion, I think it's still going to depreciate just as much as that.
Yeah.
Because if you
But you
look at,
know what? It's not going to depreciate any more than like a 5 Series.
but the
Percentage wise, maybe. But as far as like buying a $90,000 5 Series and having it be worth 15 in 8 years, um, percentage wise, this might be worth 10, but kind of works out in the actual number there. But you're if you're getting a car like this, you're leasing this under your company anyways. You're not
exactly.
paying cash, or
So
don't pay cash for this, please.
if you're watching this video in 10 years time
Yeah.
and you're looking at a Genesis G80 and you're like, oh, hey, this is a pretty good deal. Yeah,
Mm.
it absolutely is.
There's our consumer advice. So if you want one new, lease it, and then don't worry about it. You got Hyundai's gonna take good care of you for the first 5 years, anyways.
Oh,
5
absolutely.
years.
Yep.
And then you're done. You'll get into the latest and greatest then, and the lease rates will be a little bit cheaper than the Germans, just because the principal is lower. Even if the depreciation is terrible, you can still probably get a nicer Genesis than you could with. Uh, there's probably C class money realistically to lease, maybe a 3 Series, high end 3 Series lease. Okay, so yeah, so they do offer a lease. I'm just on Genesis website right now. It's quite reasonable, their rates. Yeah, so that is the actual consumer advice on this episode of Kicking Tires, not high flying SUVs, but how to buy a luxury sedan.
I got some interesting news that just came in.
Hmm.
Literally just came in from Honda. The new 11th generation Honda Civic. I got full pictures of it inside and out.
Oh, let's see.
Let
I think we
me
have a bit of time.
pull it up here. I don't know why it does that every single time. Oh, there it is. So that's outside of the new Civic. We kind of saw it with some of the latest pictures. Looks pretty normal. Nothing really too big here. But I think this is the first picture that we see of the interior.
Very funky.
What's with that vent?
It is all vent, and it's very retro.
That's entire dash. It's a vent.
It's not very like automotive either. Like this
No,
is a toaster, or like it's an appliance kind of vent. I don't hate it. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate this vent.
it's different.
I
Looks like there's a
wonder how it will look on an LX though,
yeah.
because they're gonna cheap it down for an LX, and then this interior is gonna look disgusting. But on this higher trim, it looks decent.
Yeah, it's definitely not bad. It looks like you got a digital dash, which is nice. From what I can
Mhm.
see here, that looks like a full digital dash. You get the newer Accord infotainment, which is miles better than the one that's in the current Civic. I see heated seat button, but no cooled seat button.
Oh yeah.
Dual zone climate control, heated steering wheel, maybe.
Oh, the cruise control makes more sense now. I don't know if you the 10th gen has like a button that's like main or something like that. And I just used it on Monday, I think. I drove it on Monday. And I was on the highway in a 10th gen, and I was like, what the hell is main?
What does this
Like
mean?
Yeah, this makes more sense to me.
More traditional, just gear selector rather than the Accord one. Drive mode, pretty normal stuff down here. Nothing really
very
extraordinary.
Standard. I like this. I think it's a bit of a risk. I wonder if that's a retro thing. I need to look at like what a first gen Civic interior looks like, and maybe this will be
Don't recall it ever having like
no, a barbecue
grill
running across the dash. No, but I don't hate it. Exterior wise though, what are your thoughts?
I think exterior is a little boring. I think they can do a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's a video as well that they
sent. I'm watching they're getting a Bose stereo now. That is not a bad move for Honda because the Civic, for whatever reason, has always had really crappy audio from factory. Okay. We've had Pioneer systems in the 10th gen, and they're all garbage. Like the Type R has it, the Touring models, and they get it as well. But the speaker system that the current 10th gen Civic has, and pretty much every Civic before it, is very underwhelming.
This is the launch video. Looks like it was just released.
This is a throwback. Like this type of video editing is a throwback. This is me and my Suzuki Aereo. If you know what or the Matrix, the Toyota Matrix commercial.
Oh. Okay, so here's what they're saying. Civic first heated steering wheel. So you do get a heated steering wheel. You get the Bose sound system in the Touring with 12 speakers, full digital LCD display, Civic's first rear seat airbags. You get a more powerful and fuel efficient 1.5 turbo, enhanced architecture and stronger body, updated suspension and steering tuning for improved handling and ride. You get Qi wireless charger, standard 7-inch touchscreen with CarPlay and Android Auto, available 9-inch unit with wireless CarPlay and Android Auto.
Very cool. No, I think interior wise, it is more premium. It's not like this is a lot nicer than a Corolla, but this is not quite up there with the Mazda yet, I think, which is okay. Which I think the Civic popularity speaks for itself. And I was just thinking about this car today, just in preparation for a podcast. You know, I just don't like the front end so much.
It's kind of plain.
It's plain, and it's like oddly proportioned. Like it's got a big forehead.
Mm-hmm.
If you see that, I don't know if you see that.
Yeah.
The rear is very standard issue Honda. Side is very standard Honda. I wonder, I think they're saying the hatchback is not coming back to North America.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, they haven't mentioned.
No. I'm going through the.
Will be manufactured in the U.S.
U.S.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so the British-made hatchbacks will not be here. So that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because.
So I'm just looking at the power figures. So the standard engine is a 2-liter 4-cylinder, probably a K20 of sort, 158 horsepower, 138 pound-feet of torque. And in the Touring, you get 180 horsepower and 177 pound-feet of torque. So that's the 1.5 turbo. So
yeah,
180 horsepower. I thought it would be a little bit more than that.
It's probably the same engine, but I noticed they downgraded the Sport. The Sport is a sporty version of the base. It's no longer the turbo.
No. Sport has always been base engine.
Oh.
Yeah, the previous Sport was still the base 2-liter, not the Touring, not the 1.5 turbo. It's only the Touring that gets a 1.5.
Sport Touring. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty normal stuff here. The 9-inch unit looks good. Heads-up display looks kind of normal. Not bad.
not bad.
Interesting.
This car will sell regardless.
Oh yeah, it doesn't
They
matter what
could
we
make
think.
anything. But yeah, I think that the front bumper is it's straight off the Scion TC.
I remember the TC. Yep, I see what you
Yeah.
mean.
But it's so uninspired for a front end. I'm really curious how the Type R will look. If we will even get a Type. I mean, the Type R is popular though. Hey, like in North America, you can't keep them in stock.
I don't think they're gonna kill off the Type R. Um, this angle, it reminds me a lot of the Kia Forte.
Yeah, yeah, very Kia Forte. It's a little bit more chiseled, and you were mentioning before that Honda's trying to clean up their styling, I guess.
Yeah,
This is definitely a lot less styling going on compared to the 10th gen.
yeah.
Yeah, but I just could this be like the 9th gen where they're like it looks so bland
All right.
and we're gonna emergency refresh it.
You need to look into this just a little bit harder. Look at this guy pretending to drive, turning the steering wheel while the steering wheel is absolutely stationary. Oh,
Oh man.
why? Why did you have to do that? That was hard to watch. Oof.
That is cringe.
Oh,
Yeah.
digital dash
Civic
looks all
Nation.
right. Ooh, that I think they just placed her hands too high when they did this because that looks like she's reaching, or
Yes.
definitely looks like a female's
I think
hands.
that's a female. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like she's reaching for those buttons. Not the greatest there, but I think it's just hand placement. It looks like her hands are a lot.
They don't. These actors don't know what to do with their hands. Like we've established that.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. This front end is a little bit bland for me. I think 10 years ago this would have passed. Nowadays it's just yeah.
especially with the Mazda 3 that's around.
Well, you're always team Mazda.
Okay,
but
the Mazda 3 looks amazing. It drives great, but it's too small for a lot of families. That's its biggest problem.
Yeah.
This is probably going to be the Honda's always been the well-rounder, right?
It's like
never
the
been
F-150 that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
It makes sense for so many people. It ticks so many boxes. And you're going to get insane resale value. I think the Civic and the engine is kind of proven now. That I know when the 10th gen first came out with the turbo CVT, people were a little bit weary about it. And to be fair, the first year or two, they did have some little issues here and there, but I think they've kind of fixed that. And yeah, no, it should be a good product. I think they're not going to invest that heavily in sedans anyways, I guess.
No. The new CRV that's going to be coming out next year, that's going to be the one that they're going to spend most of their money on, because the CRV outsells the Civic a lot.
Yeah, and I can see a CRV with this type of styling working.
Yeah.
So I guess we have to go reverse engineer this and imagine what a CRV would look like based on this chassis.
Yeah.
And I think cleaner lines for a CRV are going to help it. I think right now the CRV is, weirdly enough, it's a little bit polarizing for some people, which was never really the case for the CRV. But I know some people that are like, I don't really like the way it looks. Yeah.
Well, I think that's really it. I don't want to watch this anymore. There's still a bunch of minutes left, but I think I'm okay.
Well, it's
I don't
18-minute video, 19 minutes almost.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't need to see anymore. I've seen what I can. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I think that's really it for this week. Anything else you want to add on top before we close up?
Not really. Oh, no manual transmission.
Oh, for the Civic?
Yes.
Oh, they're killing manual altogether.
Right? Yeah, it's all CVT. But no dealer would stock the manuals anyway, so.
Yeah.
It just dwindled to such a small market share that but there's no mention of a manual transmission option whatsoever, and even the rubric or the price list or the spec sheet It's just all CVT.
What do you think of that rear end?
It is okay. It is inoffensive, not as offensive as the front, and better than the current. I don't like the 10th gen sedan. So
You don't like
like
the lobster claws?
I don't like the lobster claw. This half a lobster claw looks better.
I think it's fine. I personally like the Insight over the Civic.
Yeah, the inside has
It's like
really clean lines. Like
it,
that has clean lines while looking more premium.
yeah.
Whereas this is cleaner but looks really uninspired and almost like if you told me, "Oh, this is the Chinese market Civic," I would have believed you. Like, "Oh, this is the one that they make in China for the Chinese market." It's just a little bit dumbed down version. Um, yeah,
Trying to even it a little bit, but
yeah. Looks
yeah,
like the
it looks like an Accord
current Accord.
essentially.
Yeah, it's somewhere in between. Not too shabby, but not too great either.
Not exhilarating. Not like when I look at the Mazda 3, I'm like, that's a good looking car.
That's you with like any Mazda product.
No,
You're such a
no, I don't like
almost
the MPV.
any current generation Mazda product
Okay, yeah, that's right.
or or Genesis product.
Mm, okay, yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope, can't argue there.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. We'll come back next week with more auto news and reviews and a whole bunch of other stuff, and we'll chat next time.
See you.